Yes, welcome back. We're at it again. You're probably looking at this going, what? It's nearly done. But yeah, I get to do the fun part and come in and finish off. So I've been tasked with just doing just the prettying up sort of side of things on this one. Customers got it to this point, which is sick. Done an awesome job, but just needs that little finishing off to get it over the line and back out on the track. So yeah, we'll get stuck into it. Engine's fresh, suspension's fresh. Yeah, we just got to do the finishings off. So rebuild the brakes. Yeah, little bits and pieces. Customer found a Pro Circuit triple clamp set for it, so we'll hopefully get that fitted up. I'm fingers crossed everything's going to work there. I've had the verniers out on it already to make sure it's all going to fit, so that's going to look cool. If not, that's all Cerakoted and all good to go. And then yeah, the rest is just a fun little finishing off. Got a schmick looking graphics kit from the OG of OG's graphics guy, Craig at Ringmaster. He's jumped in and he's going to help us out with that. We've got the nuclear, fluoro nuclear, whatever you want to call it, green plastic. So we're going with a clear cover base, so that green will show through, that fluoro green. So he was one of the guys that was like, task Craig with that, and he knows what I'm after. That's going to be sick. So yeah, suspension's freshly rebuilt, Costanzo, got all that done, all coated, and yeah, we just get to do the fun part. So stick around, we'll take you through it, get this thing looking sick, and getting back out on the track. Alright, just checking our clamps here now. So we've got a really cool set of PC clamps to go on from the customer. So we've just been checking the diameter of the inners, so the fork tubes are all good. Good news, bottom clamp, Pro Circuit and OEM, perfect, that'll be sweet. We just got to check our stem and bearing and stuff. This one might be able to stay in if the length and everything's all good and works on the frame. If not, we can just press him out and press the standard one back into this one, and we're good to go. Bad news, we're about a mil out on the top Pro Circuit versus the OEM Pro Circuit. Now, you don't want to just try and, a mil sounds like nothing, but it's a lot, especially if your clamps are too tight on your fork tubes, you're risking your forks and suspension not working correctly. So what we'll do, we'll have a bit of a play around. As you can see, a bit of wear and tear already going on inside of this side, but on the opposite side, not too much. So we can have a bit of a play around in here and try and finish that out a little bit. It's only a mil, so we'll have a play around ourselves. If worst comes to worst, I'll take it to the machine shop and get that sorted there with those guys. So we should be able to use these. Stay tuned, or we'll hopefully get them to work. And yeah, should be looking pretty factory with a set of PC triple clamps on. just spotted also these bottom stoppers. So what I'll probably get the guys at the machine shop to do as well, do me up a couple of little L sort of style brackets for here, and then yeah, we'll drill and tap them into the clamp. So if this frame wasn't already painted, we'd probably do a little bracket for the front of here, sort of drop it down a little bit, or even get it welded up. But these have come in at a last minute sort of fitment, and I just think it's probably just going to be neater and easier just to do it on there. So we'll get that one done as well, and yeah, these are going to look sick. All right, just grabbed the clamps back from the boys around at the aluminium shop. BWC Stainless is the name of it. They're down in Tweed Heads. So they've knocked me up these couple of little stoppers to fit a bit better on the Cowie. It was just missing on the top of it on the stopper. So knocked them up for me. They've done a banging job. Stoked on that. So if you ever need anything, and you're down in the Tweed area, give them a call or a chat. Yeah, the boys there ride as well, so they know what they're doing. Unfortunately, yeah, to do anything extra, it was a bit more of a mission than what it was worth. So, so for this center one, I've got myself a couple of bits of aluminium. I'll just try and make up a little spacer that'll fit in and around it, like a shim type spacer. That'll work. And for these ones, for getting the forks in a little bit nicer without sort of dragging them through and them being too tight, just grabbed a couple of flapper wheels. So I'll just sort of just play around with that, take a little bit out at a time, just keep playing around with it. So we'll get onto that now and yeah, show the end result. Alright, we're done with that little mission. So yeah, just basically just played around with the inners with the flap wheel. Went down to a 60 flap wheel on that. And yeah, wasn't too much effort, but just had to take my time with it, just get them right. So played around with them, checked them on the verniers, checked them actually fitting the forks in there, and everything goes in all nice. So they'll be sweet, and yeah, hopefully everything else goes along with it.
one of the things with getting a fresh powder coated frame, they've done an awesome job on it. But yeah, when you put these things back together, steel frame, if you've got a bit of powder coat, where you need to earth that out to the frame basically. So get your file, or if you've got a a Dremel or anything like that, get that back to bare metal on there, then bolt it back down. But yeah, you can't just bolt straight to the powder coated frame, and that's where you'll end up with no spark and headaches from the beginning. So yeah, just those little things that we're gonna have to go over on this one, but everything else is coming together pretty good, and we'll sort of trace through from here, get some hose clamps on there.
All right, so here's where we're at the moment. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently this time. So I'm gonna chuck some stickers on. So instead of going that way and waiting before I can do this way, I'm gonna do it this way and then chuck the triple clamps and wheels and stuff in at the end. So let's get a sticker kit on and plastics. See what she looks like, because I'm excited. Alright, all coming together now. So 95 KX replica, as you can see, a bit of a team look. The Rocco team seat cover that is on there. So now you sort of get a bit of a feel for it. It's got its own little tweaks and everything to it. Obviously, the black swing arm and the cases and stuff. Like, everyone's got their own thing, but this thing's looking really sick. Yeah, just going to jump into, I need to get this little bit fixed up. I didn't fit the seat cover, so I'm just going to fix that up through there. Or unpop the staples sort of around up through here and just get that a little bit nice, a little bit neater and a little bit tighter. All right, so everything's fitting up quite nicely. I'm just getting the clamp bolts in, and I've just a fun little story. It's a bit of a funny one because these are my first spicy bolts to fit up. It's a bit of a joke between me and a few of the guys getting around, but if you've heard the word spicy bolts, these clamps got some spicy bolts in them, and they're guaranteed at least an extra 5 horsepower, I think. So spicy bolts only on the bottom clamp here because yeah, they're a bit too long for the top ones, but hey, still a bit of a joke. But got some spicy bolts going in, but yeah, just gonna get these clamps snugged up. Everything's fitted all good. I'm happy with how everything's going so far. Gonna get them snugged up, and then I'll drop the wheel in. Want to make sure everything, all the spacing and everything's all right. Just haven't checked that yet. So we'll drop the front wheel in after this, and then everything else will come together. But yeah, just a bit of a funny, just there. Get yourself some spicy bolts if you know what we're doing. all done. How good, the KX125 completed. So stoked on how this has come out. Stoked on getting that vented plate fitted up. Yeah, it took a little bit of, you know, jigging and getting the thing sorted, but we got it on there. Everything's come together sick. So yeah, so stoked on this one. Yeah, if you like what we're doing with these types of things, hit us up. It's, you know, there's so much that goes into these builds. Finding parts, you know, sourcing, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I've got a good, you know, good knack for that now. So if you're stuck on doing a build, this one was, you know, about 7 years in the making, just getting parts together and all those types of things, and then just those little finishings off. So we got it across the line. Can't wait to see this one ripping around the track somewhere. A little bit of fine tuning to do. Took it for a bit of a run. It's gonna need some jetting and stuff like that, but needs a run in obviously first. And then some fine tuning on the jetting, which is, you know, it's to be expected with a, you know, a 125, and especially like a, you know, 90 model, mid 90s, 2000 model 125. There's always fine tuning, especially with carbies. You know, the beauty of today's bikes, some of them are TPI, some of them are, you know, you get the electron carbs and all that sort of stuff with them. So yeah, there's some real cool technology out there, but with these sort of old school ones with the carbies and that, bit of tuning to go. So we'll get that done at a later date, get it out on the track, and Guy will run it in. But yeah, we'll finish this one here off to Matty Mac, off to Gold Coast Studio for a photo shoot. As always, we like to do that with these types of builds because so much goes into them and so much time and effort and money. So we'll finish it off there. We'll show you a bit of that. But yeah, stay tuned for the next ones. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Check out the website. We've got merch and everything. I like to do that sort of stuff with builds. So yeah, we've got some cool stuff going on there. But yeah, share it around. Tell your mates. Yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Catch ya.